Okay, Boss Hobbies fam, welcome to another episode here at Sloan the Beast. My name is Sloan, Mother of Beast, and on my channel I post all things just a simplified living for big families. Today's video is going to be all about my updated college life, new tips that I have for you now that I am in university, and it seems to be one of the most the videos where I have the most engagement, honestly, where you guys are just providing me such great feedback and sharing your stories with me and sharing your experiences and your goals. And I'm so excited to be a part of that journey and to help you in any way that I can. So I wanted to give you guys an update on what it's like now that I have transferred into university and how that has changed, especially now that we are pretty much into these new social norms. And yeah, let's just get into it. If you guys hear my kids in the background, they are just watching CoComelon and hopefully we'll take a nap. Give me a little grace through that and we'll get through this video just fine. All right, so I'm going to break this video up into 3 parts, and it's habits, struggles, and goals. Now that I'm in university and we're really getting to the core or past the core classes and into my degree classes, I am finding that there is a little bit of a shift in some of the habits that I have. If I'm looking down, it's because I have my laptop and I've got some notes, okay? One thing that I have done is, instead of blocking out times, I have blocked out entire days. I have Tuesdays and Wednesdays where I block out specifically to get homework done. I block it out to get my podcast done, which I will link down below if you're interested in learning more about that. It's all about kingdom entrepreneurship and grant writing. So I'll link that down below for you guys if you're interested. And of course, YouTube videos. So, and other errands that I may have. That I just need to be alone to do. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I block those days out, and I go to school Tuesday mornings. So I drop off the boys. My daughter actually goes to nail classes on that day, and I spend the majority of the day of the morning at school. I come home and I get work done. I get my podcast done. I get schoolwork done. So having those 2 blocks of days set up has been a huge benefit for me, in that I have more flexibility when I'm by myself. I can get a lot more done when I'm by myself. So I do try and cram in a lot of things. And I just find that it works a lot better rather than blocking out just set hours, if you will, or set time. So for example, Tuesdays I drop the kids off, but Wednesdays I don't drop the kids off because I have no need to leave the house unless I have an errand or something like that. So typically my husband will just drop the boys off for me, and then I could stay home, get my homework done, get all of my things done, and I have that entire day all up until 5 o'clock to do whatever I have to do. Next, I want to talk about my habits in terms of, like I said, sometimes I come home, but sometimes I don't. Honestly, sometimes I'm in downtown for school, and just to clarify, I'm going to take a step back because I feel like I'm going really, really fast. So my classes are in downtown, and I have classes 1 day a week. What the professor has done with COVID is he has 1 week we're in school, another week we're not. So it's like a hybrid kind of situation. There's some weeks where I'm in class and I know that the house is such a mess, or I have so much laundry accumulated, or just so many things that I could be doing around the house that I will get distracted. So what I've done is change my scenery. Since we're in post-COVID times, or mid-COVID times, I'm not so comfortable going into a coffee shop, but my mom's house is down the road. So what I do is I jump from downtown to my mom's house, and I'll stay there until about 5 o'clock when it's time to pick up the boys. Sometimes I get a lot of work done. Sometimes my sister, who, doesn't really go out, she just wants to vent and wants to have somebody to talk to. So that can be one of the difficulties of doing that. But there is that off time where I get a bunch of work done, and it's just a change of scenery. I watched this in a video once and I can't seem to get it out of my head, and it's the state of your house is the state of your mind. And so lately that is definitely true in my house. Like, my house is absolute chaos a lot of the times, and so with that, I have noticed that a change of scenery has really helped me maintain focus on my schoolwork. So there are some days where I'm in school and I know that if I go home, the likelihood of me actually getting work done is very, very small because I have so much laundry accumulated, or my daughter's room needs to be cleaned, or I know that there's things to do around the house. And I will prioritize that over my homework. Changing your scenery as a university student definitely will help you. I know it's super difficult with us being, mid-pandemic. However, there is a lot of outdoorsy places that you can go, unless you're in like Texas where they have that blizzard right now. Obviously, if you're in a location with extreme weather, I totally understand that. But if you're in a location where you do have the ability to change your scenery, either going outside or going to your mom's house or your sister's house or wherever else that isn't home and you're not going to get distracted, I highly recommend that you do that, because it is so easy for you to prioritize the things of your house over your schoolwork. And this is a moment where you're literally in the last year and a half of university. Like, just get it over with, get good grades. And in order for you to do that, you have to prioritize your schoolwork. Another thing that I have really done that has helped me is I am currently on the road to zero waste or minimal waste, which is pretty natural. I know that's, if you are getting into minimalism, I feel like that's just the natural progression, is because you're more intentional with the things that you're purchasing. You also just naturally become more conscious of the waste that you have and just, more eco-friendly, I guess. While I am trying to go more digital in a lot of aspects, you cannot deny the benefits of a pen and paper. So what I have done is I bought a Hustle and Flow folder for my business, and I have a separate agenda for my schoolwork. So this specific agenda I use to notate all of my deadlines, all of the things that I have to do for school. But because I don't look at that every single day, I have also just doubled up by adding those notices to my calendar. And that has really helped keep me on track, because there have been times where I forget to put it in my calendar and it's in my agenda, but since I don't look at my agenda every single day, then I end up missing the deadlines. And that already happened with one assignment, and after that I was like, nope, not happening to me again. It's going in both places. Once written so that I can remember, like mentally, yes, I wrote that, but also just a follow-up notice, because we are parents and we do have so much going on that it's natural that we're going to forget everything. Again, I think I used this analogy in my last video, but when you're juggling everything at once, something is bound to fall. And then when one ball falls, all the balls fall, and then you're left like, what the hell do I do now? So to avoid that, I have an agenda where I write everything down physically, and then I use my iPhone calendar with reminders with alerts to remind me. All right, now let's get into the struggles. And boy, are there a lot of them this semester. I am feeling it. The first that I want to talk about is class sizes. Okay, so before this wouldn't be an issue, it didn't bother me. Like when people were like, I want to go to a smaller college because of the class size and things like that. It just would never, I don't know, I'm kind of a loner, so I really don't care how big or small the class is. I'm probably not going to socialize anyways. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. But the first day of class, I just remember I was one of the first people that walked into the class, and I just remember watching people trickle in one after the other, and pretty soon the class was at room capacity, not even social distancing capacity, but room capacity. And I remember there was one girl that just flat out walked out. She was just like, I'm not doing this, and walked out. And it was the first time that I really realized how much anxiety, I guess, these times have really underlyingly caused me. And it wasn't even a thought. I didn't think that it would be a thing, right? But it was. I just remember driving home and being like, oh my God, there were so many people in this class. The next week, it wasn't an issue. The professor had actually requested that we have our room moved to a bigger room because we are a pretty large class, and ever since it hasn't been a thing. But class sizes is definitely a struggle, because now you have to be really conscious of, okay, how many people are going to be in here? are they going to be safe as well, and et cetera, et cetera. Next is the hourly commitment per week. Like I mentioned, you're in the last year and a half. If you're like me and you're going straight through, you're in the last year and a half of your college career. And so that means that the work is a lot more rigorous. It is a lot more time intensive. So right now I'm taking 3 classes right now, and they're about 5 hours per week a piece, sometimes more. And that's a full-time, that's like a part-time job. And it is very difficult to allocate that time throughout the week, and I will tell you why in my next struggle, which is group work. In pretty much all of my college time, other than when I was in film school, I have not really had to do a lot of group assignments. This semester is really group heavy, and it really worries me because my department's really small, so you kind of have like you're gonna have the same professors all the way through. And so it's really frustrating when you have a group assignments because my scheduling is so scattered and I need more flexibility than maybe a lot of other people just because of my family situation. And so it's really frustrating to be working with 3-4 other people who they don't have responsibilities of kids, of a husband, of a mortgage. They don't have these responsibilities. They work their retail part-time job, live at home with mom and dad, and hang out with their friends, go muddy on the weekends, whatever. So for me, it has been really difficult to keep up with group work only because my schedule is so all over the place. To give you an example, I actually had, when we first started these when we first started these group projects, I actually had one of my team members create the group chat and text us all at like 11:30 at night. And if I was a single college student, yeah, sure, whatever, like I'd be totally fine with that. As a wife and a mom of 4 small children, that was really annoying because I was trying to put my kids to sleep and the phone rang, like my phone went off and it just kind of threw everything off. And that was really frustrating for me. No! Group work has just been really hard in the methods of communication as well. It's been difficult because not everyone communicates the same way. And it's just a mess, especially when everything is virtual and online. So that is not my favorite part. Parking passes. That is really frustrating for me because I have a really hard time justifying a $60 parking pass when you literally go to school. The semesters are 13 weeks long, and we only go to school 6 weeks. 6 days out of that time span. You're charging me $10 a day per parking. And I have a really hard time just coming to terms with that because it's like, well, you guys are just making money off of us instead of saying, hey, if this is the case, like we'll give you 50% off or whatever, but that's not, of course, the way that universities work. They have to make their money. So that's been really frustrating, but it's also been, it's also really cool because for me, I've waited a really long time to get to this point. So to finally have like a parking decal in the back of my Jeep that says, University of, that's really, really cool. That was a really cool feeling. And it was a moment of like realization. So I guess that's a twofold. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But I guess it's a twofold where it's like a huge moment of, yes, this is awesome. But at the same time, like, what the hell? Why are you charging me all this money? Right? So it's kind of a twofold, but super duper duper, just fulfilling. I felt like a real college kid. Like I have my dream car and I'm going to school and I'm so close and my business is really kicking off and like everything just seems like it's falling into place, which is super exciting. So yeah, and then I guess the other struggle is just trying to keep up with the work. Like I said, it's a lot of work and I just want to encourage you guys. I know it's hard as the semester goes on. It doesn't get easier, but I will say this. all of the classes, because you're working on the classes for your major, all of the classes really do feed off of each other. So whatever you're learning in this class, you can utilize for this class. And I've done that a lot, and it really helps reinforce the information that I'm learning. So that is super duper cool. My other struggle is, again, probably one that a lot of you are feeling at this point, and it is just not having enough time to spend with your kids. That is a really hard one, because for me, I created my office into a closet, and okay, no. Let's try that again. I created my closet into an office. And so when I do homework, a lot of the times I kind of just go in my little rabbit hole and I get my work done in there, whether it's homework or work. And it does mean that a lot of the times I don't get to sit down and watch movies with my kids. I don't get to, be at the dinner table and play Monopoly. Like, there's just certain things. I will say that even though I don't get to do as many activities with them, what in turn I try and do is take them out for walks. Dinner time is sacred to us, so no phones, totally present at the dinner table. And so that's a moment where you just kind of have to pick and choose. You're not going to be there for all of it, right? You're not going to be able to spend as much time with your kids when you're in university. That's just what it is. And you're going to have to be okay with that in order for you to make a better life for them. But what I've done instead is, like I said, I just kind of find different ways around that. And when I am present, I'm present. And so that's kind of my 2 cents on that. What I have also done in terms of homeschool, since I do homeschool my daughter and now university is a lot more of a time commitment, is I have delegated the work to my husband. And since my husband is a barber instructor and cannot or doesn't have really the time to do a lot of the things himself, what we have done is we have put her in a nail technician class. So it allows her to build a skill. It allows for her to learn what it's like in a classroom setting, since she's never really been in one. And we've also just integrated her into a few other activities, which, yes, is more of a money commitment, but it's, again, everything is a trade-off. There is no easy way through this. It's just kind of deciding what is the best decision for you, for your children, for your family, and for your career, right? So that's what I have done in terms of homeschooling, is just kind of delegated and allocated her in different ways so that she can continue being homeschooled, and we don't have to compromise in that. But, also I want her to continue growing and not feel as much guilt, because there is a lot of guilt that comes associated with that. And so sometimes I have to have a come to Jesus moment with myself of like, hey, snap out of it. You're okay. It is what it is. And then, of course, my husband, I don't want to leave him out of this. He's super great about knowing when I am in work mode. He's really great about taking over, putting the kids to sleep, showers, all that jazz, so that I can get my work done. Because for the first time, guys, since graduating high school, I am receiving financial aid, and that for me is huge. I paid for school out of pocket. I think I talked about this in my last video, which I will link in the cards. So that to me is just so much more of a motivator. That is so much more of a motivator so that I can continue getting good grades. Guys, thank you so much for sharing your stories with me. I hope that you continue to do so, because I love to know that I'm not alone, and it's so good for this community to know that they're not alone either. I would love to hear what are some ways that you are keeping yourself in line with your schoolwork and, with your pre-planning and everything. So I hope that this video was helpful, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Hasta luego, mis bestias, y gracias por estar aquí viendo este video conmigo. Espero que esta información las haya ayudado y nos vemos en la próxima. Bye guys, be blessed.